Lady D Denise Gomez, and I have exciting interview segments and features inside the zone. For recording artists, you can sing? Well, Inside the Zone, second Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. is for you. Writers, share your story, now man, in From the Author's Zone on third Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. Male Zone has unbelievably juicy stories of love, heartbreak, and triumph. 7 p.m. has never been this good. On Mondays, it's news, talk, engaging features at 7 in the Monday Drive. And Center Stage has everyone talking on Thursdays. Be a part of the show. Email me insidethezone@gmail.com or call me 914-304-2592. For 2 days, the 5 o'clock hour is hot on Fit FM 96.7, www.fitfmja.com. Your life, your music with Lady D Denise Gomez inside the zone. Catch me on Monday at 5 p.m. for the Monday Drive, keeping you in the know in the city you walk, drive, and reside. And on Friday, yes, at 5 p.m. for Center Stage, the platform where voices are heard and people connect. From abroad to yard, Trelawney. Celebrate the strength, resilience, and grace of women for Women's History Month. Investing in women, accelerate progress is this year's theme for Women's History Month. From holding their families together to thriving in workplaces, women play pivotal roles in shaping our society. Join us in recognizing their multifaceted contributions as mothers, protectors, wives, and leaders in churches, schools, and the workplace. Embrace the myriad of roles they effortlessly navigate, embodying the true essence of empowerment. A Satideh Mawnin runnings. Come, make we talk.
It's another Saturday morning right here on Saturday Morning Runnings. Good morning, everyone. 3 minutes after 10 o'clock. My name is Lady D Denise Gomez, the host and producer of Inside the Zone. Inside the Zones kicked off, launched on June 5, 2008, and it has been a journey. Since then, I have met so many people, both locally and internationally. Since then, I have built partnerships with so many people. And today's platform is no different because we're all connected wherever we are, but especially to my guests, those of you who are coming in, but more importantly, to those of you who are on the platform. Good morning, ladies. How na do, how na do, how na do.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good
I'm
morning.
doing fine.
Nice.
We're doing good. We're doing good. Hectic week, but we're here. I'm here.
It's nice to see newbies. We always
Yes.
appreciate newbies to a platform.
Yes.
So welcome, Shakira. Welcome, Kay.
Thank you.
Max,
Welcome.
so Max, you know Kay.
Yes, I've seen her on Facebook. I've never met her in person, but I've seen her on Facebook.
Right.
Oh, so that's
Yes.
Kay Star. And
Yeah.
Shakira is a member of the Bronxwood International Church of God and a good friend with Sherns. So the spirit was moving. When I thought of Shakira, Sherns was about to tell me that. Can you figure?
Oh, wow. Great
Yeah.
minds. It's called telepathy. Yeah.
Right. So, Shakira, how are you? Welcome.
I'm well. Thank you guys for having me. I'm excited.
There you go. I know yes, I know you're familiar with the platform, so you know
Yes, I follow.
there's no
Oh, really?
I do.
You follow our craziness.
We do.
Right.
One of my favorite was the marriage one that I told Sharon. I'm like, okay, is there going to be like a part 2, 3, 4?
Yes.
Right. Yeah, some of those we should follow through so we can
Yes.
always go back. And a very special welcome to my good friend Kay Star. Kay, how
Hey,
you
Kay.
doing?
Good morning, everyone. I'm doing fine. It's great to be here. Lady
Morning.
D. We go back a long, long, long way.
Long way, long way. So it's such a pleasure having you all here. As we
Yeah.
know, yesterday we celebrated International Women's Day, and women all over the world were feeling great, pretty much.
Appreciate
If
it.
there was one woman who said, "Oh, cha," then we know that there is something going on there. Because
Yeah.
once
Hmm.
women are acknowledged, there is something about commendation that you can't run away from. It boosts
Mm-mm.
your it boosts your spirit, pretty much. People
Right.
like to be acknowledged. And we know that every day of our lives, we play a significant role in our families, in our society. And so, um, women of God, we should just hold up our hand and say, thank you, Lord, because we have a purpose, we're intentional, and His favor continues to be with us no matter what, even when we don't deserve it. So we're not going to shy away from that. Um, God has been good to us. And to the people who are mourning this morning or those who are feeling quite despondent, we think of them because there was a time when we fell into some space that we had to literally
Mm-hmm.
rely on God to pull us out of and
Hmm.
to celebrate who we are as women. So we would like to say, God
Absolutely.
bless you, ladies, for joining me here this morning. Of course, the theme for the month is a mouthful, but each person has a story. And we like to share our stories. Of course, we know how far we should go with it, but we like to share our stories. So people are not just seeing us as, oh, they're doing so well and feeling so accomplished, but it's not always so.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no.
And
Absolutely.
until we tell the truth, they won't know any different.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So we want to bless up. So, no look good, on TV.
Mm-hmm. You know what happened?
You see the craziness start already. Tongues.
So,
Well, you know what, Jackie? You know what, Jackie and ladies, we keep it real. We don't pretend, we don't put on, we keep it real right here.
Yeah.
Yes. We're just natural.
absolutely. And we want to extend a very special welcome to our guests. How could we
Yes,
not? Because
absolutely.
you know how things roll over here. I'll just move my cursor over and pop on the first person who, came into this space. Hey, Ralphie, how are you? Good morning,
Rafi B.
beautiful ladies.
Andrew
Bless
this
up.
morning.
Mhm. And he continues by saying, "Let peace, love, and joy abide." That sounds like
Amen.
Absolutely.
like a tune coming up.
Yes.
Morning, Drea. Andrea is my very good friend from Barbados.
Oh,
And
Andrea made it in. Okay,
yes,
great.
and Lorna Sarah. Huh. Morning, Lorna Sarah. Good morning. So, ladies, while you're here with me, I invite you to share the link. And note you're sharing the link for the general broadcast, not our personal link, to at least 5 people and invite them to hop on over and come enjoy Saturday morning runnings. Now, when we're saying Saturday, you can round up your mouth, even though we are capable of doing
Mm-mm.
that. But you have to go deep.
Mhm.
You have to say Saturday
Yes.
morning
Yes.
runnings.
Satideh.
And the cultural spirit in us, the West Indian cultural spirit, say, it must have gone over there, so because they didn't say Saturday, so it has to be something that's different. So- right.
Absolutely.
So welcome, ladies, and we invite our guests to do the same. Please share the link with at least 5 people. We're not asking for much more. 5 people. And we want to talk about, who we are. why are we here? What are we leaving behind? Because the month says celebrate the strength, resilience, and grace of women for Women's History Month. So that was one part, my thing. But then it says investing in women, accelerate progress is this year's theme for Women's History Month.
Mm-hmm.
And people acknowledge us. They acknowledge us because we're gifted. It was a miracle that we are able to bring children into this world. So that's an acknowledgement. One of the greatest accomplishments. And it's not by your own doing, of course. That's a divine orchestration that God came up with. Although we can't even figure it out and we're not even going to try.
Right.
But the moment you conceive, there is a joy bubbling up inside. Then when you go through the 9-month period or 7 months, whatever it is, and the child is healthy and well, and so are you, there is a joy that you couldn't figure that you could love this little person that has been growing inside of you for all that time. And now they come to life. So that's a great achievement. And there is progress attached to that. Because now it's not just about you, it's about this person. So that's the motherhood aspect of it. And then there is our professional lives. We went to school, we learned ABC and all that. And then some took it a step further, and we are now accomplished in our right. But are we investing in ourselves first? And who is willing to invest in us? What do we demonstrate that allows a person to say, there goes that person. I can give them a promotion. I can place them in a particular area. I will approach them because I see a blueprint. I see their work. I see their worth. So we're talking about a myriad of things this morning, but it all comes back to who we are. What are we showing to the world? Who am I in my family? Who am I in my church? Who are we? And how are we investing? Who is willing to invest in us? What
And if
do
I
we
may
do on a
add,
daily basis? So that's my intro. Go ahead, Jack.
right? No, I was going to say, I would add to that. And for those of us who have achieved or have made something of that ABC and 1, 2, 3, are we investing in some young minds? Are we investing or sharing what we have learned to, with the younger generation? Because a
Right. So
lot of
the
people have
legacy.
said, I get what I want. And it's like, that's just for me. And nobody, pay forward or shares what they know. And we need more of that.
Yes. So
I think
we
we need
have
more
to
of that.
pass. We have to pass on our
Pass it
knowledge.
down.
Agreed. Kay, what say you as a quick intro?
I'm, anyone that knows me knows I'm really big on sharing. And thank you, Jackie, for that, because among the women, unfortunately, there's a lot of gatekeeping when it comes to information, right? We get to where we want to, and we're reluctant to share that information with other women or
Absolutely.
others so that they can move forward. And I think that's something especially in the Black community, that is actually holding us back from progress. And who and how do we invest in our women is the critical point. And I think the investing needs to start very young. It's not just grown women that we're talking about. We're talking about young girls that are coming up that need that guidance. And I think there is that gap between the younger generation and, say, our generation, for instance, that we need to bridge that divide. And I think investing in our women on different levels is a key part to us moving forward for the future, and our Black and brown girls getting to where they need to be.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So, Sharon's, what say you?
Well, us women, I should say, we have struggled to get representation. We have struggled over the years, all our lives, to get our voices heard and to get recognition. Hence, even the day being, a concept, because prior to I was looking around for some information, and the woman who started this all was Clara Zetkin, a German woman, and she did it to commemorate and honor women's accomplishments and to raise awareness about gender disparities and discrimination. And I know that it took quite an effort, because after there was a big protest of women, from women in New York here, against harsh working conditions and wages, equal wages. There was a big march back in, I think it was in the early 1990s, not 1999 rather. So it's been a long road. So just to get back to what I was saying, we have long struggled to find our place in the world, to get recognized. We do know that boy children used to be more desired than girls, because of carrying on the name and so on. So women have long tried to cut a little piece of just get a little niche in which they can thrive. And as we can see, after so many years, we are thriving, and we are taking our girls right along with us, and we are also affecting womanhood in a broader scope.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank
So
you so much. And Shakira, welcome. What's your intro?
Sure. So I thought about what everyone was saying, and I think first of all, the investment piece kind of ties into a mentorship model. And over the years, as Sharnette was saying, we've seen society transition in terms of the acceptance around diversity and inclusion, whether it's women of color, whether it's women in general, right? That gender equality or neutrality setting. But I also have seen the transition in the church, right? So where women are now getting a voice, more validated, if you would, more validation. But I think where we can do more is not just the investment piece, but the work in identifying um, gifts and talents across the board, honing the skills of folks that we've identified in these spaces, and truly being their advocate, both before them and behind closed doors. I think as women, we don't do such a great job all the time in being each other's advocates and each other's voices, and doing it in a way where there is a really sense of collegial sisterhood, right? So a lot of women feel like, but if I do this, then this person might get more recognition than I would. Or they might think that this person is better, versus us really saying at this space, we moving together as a sisterhood is more beneficial to the society in general, whether it's in the corporate workforce or within the church. For me as a leader, both in corporate and in the church, that's one of my I guess personal goals, is truly identifying young women who need that extra hand holding or need an advocate or a mentor, and then sharing knowledge, right? Setting them up for success, understanding that if we do this in the right way, then that's also a stake in your legacy and what you leave behind. So definitely good to see where we are right now, but still think there's lots of opportunity to grow future state.
Thank you, Shakira. Max.
Okay, so ladies, that I always like to take it a step back. And I'm going to go from when I was a child growing up with my grandmother. women back then in my district were not really, well, I was just saying my era, we were not really recognized and looked at or seen because for the most part back then, and even happening today, we were stay at home. We stay at home and take care of family, cook, clean, wash, and other chores that happens in the homes. So we were not really seen. The men would be the ones who would go out and work, and for that reason, they would probably get the more recognition. But there's one person that I would love to recognize at this moment. She's no longer with us, my grandmother, but I can tell you she was a pearl. And I have to always speak about her because she's the person why what's made me who I am today. The education that I've achieved happened because of her. My knowledge, my total upbringing happened because of her. And in back then, she did so much in the district that she was recognized. She wasn't on television. She never got recognition in the paper, but she was recognized by the people in the district who knew her because of what she brought to the community. She delivered babies. Yes, she was like a nurse, a doctor, everything. And she couldn't even read. If you wrote her name on paper, she would not be able to say, that's my name. But even so, she had her strength mentally, health was whatever she could contribute, she contributed. So women from way back when until now, we have always contributed. And for some reason, we have always played the role of men as well. Because a lot of women are being doing upbringing of their kids on their own without fathers or without the presence of a dad for that child or children. And that's a big deal. Believe it or not, it is a big deal because kids, as they say, there's a saying that says mothers maybe, fathers maybe. When the father is going to afford to disappear, the women have to be present. So we should consider ourselves highly favored. We should consider ourselves prominent in society. We should not look down on ourselves because sometimes us women tend to put ourselves down. I know of women who do that, and we shouldn't. We should not. We should recognize ourselves. Nothing is wrong with self-recognition or self-love, and we have to make ourselves be seen and heard in society. So I am proud of who I am, and we all should be proud of who we are and what we do and what we contribute.
Thank you, Max.
Yeah.
So we're all on the same page here that yes, we should be mentors. Yes, we are a force to be reckoned with because sometimes when things happen and people observe how we are able to stand up and go through something, they are in awe as to how we do that. But we were created that way. So if we're talking about mentoring young people, young women, because those of us who are in churches or we are very visible in our communities and we see the breakdown, whether it's how they adorn themselves, whether it's how they speak, what career path they're choosing, etc. How should we approach these kinds of pitfalls? Because there are parents who sometimes they're not very willing and open for people to come in and speak to their children. So there has to be an approach for that. But churches and their organizations have mentorship programs and all of that, but not many of them are connecting. And some of these are free. They're not always at a price tag. So how should we help? Because we need to offer that help. We do it the best way we can in our own circles, but on a broader spectrum. So that would be my first question.
Kay here.
Okay.
So I think just listening to the question, I think one of the first thing that came to mind was especially for those of us that are in the church, and I think we know this, that we're unwilling to meet them where they are, meet people where they are.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't be so holier than thou that we're judgmental, and it's showing, right? And so we're living in a society where people don't trust Christianity, they don't trust the church. And I think there are always these different avenues that parents can reach out to, but people are reluctant because of what's happening in society. And even in the church, where you're thinking this should be the safest space, and people should be more comfortable, but I think people have become so accustomed to Christians being judgmental, they're thinking. And unfortunately, there are a lot that are very judgmental, that are unwilling to meet these kids, the family, these single mothers where they are, and instead is trying to force something on them. And I
Mm-hmm.
think what we need to do is approach it in a softer way, unless we have to create a safe space, right? A safe environment, and a judgment free environment for people to feel comfortable that they can come, they can send their kids. Because I just think society has become so eroded just with so much negativity that people are just not trusting even what's in front of their eyes. They're
Mm-hmm.
no longer willing to trust what they see, they're not willing to trust what they hear. And so we have to find another way to meet people where they are in an honest and a softer way,
Mm-hmm.
in a sense.
Thank you.
I could weigh in there as well. So,
Yes.
as a and from the perspective, I mean, as a youth leader, and as a parent, I think we first have to build relationships, right? We have to start somewhere. We have to develop the trust, take the time, and as we know, with any relationship that you're building, there's investment that is needed, investment
Mm-hmm.
of time, getting to know their situation in, as Kay said, a non-judgmental way. And then another piece to it, other than the building of the relationship, is just being transparent and authentic. A lot of times, and I don't know if it's just culturally or just us as women, we keep a lot of things close to our heart. But the younger generation wants to know what you've experienced. They want to see our um, our experiences and be able to compare it to the things that they're going through. These shared experiences will then build them and help them in their particular journey. So, for example, again, young mothers or single mothers or young wives or someone who might have experienced abuse at some point. Someone who is struggling with low self-esteem or family issue, whatever it is. I think the church holistically needs to come to the table, be transparent and authentic, so that then the younger generation can really buy in to the story, buy into the narrative that's being shared, and then leverage that in their own lives. And sometimes that's uncomfortable. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of times that's uncomfortable because people are like, well, I don't want people to know my business, or
Mm-hmm.
you want the perception to be, oh, sister so and so is just this perfect Christian. I think Lady D, you started with that, like people don't know your story, but your
Mm-hmm.
story is what is going to be so integral and critical with the younger generation. That's how they will know. That's where the trust will be built. That's where you get them back to a space where they're like, oh, this is attainable because here's someone like me that have gone through this pathway and has come out on the other end successfully. I know in my
Mm-hmm.
life, being a church baby, growing up in the church all my life, during that critical time, and I want to say teenagehood to early young adulthood, I didn't see a lot of great examples in that space because
Mm-hmm.
I really thought these adult Christians that I was surrounded with were perfect. And because I know I can't be, I would pull away. And so when I, moved on to this stage of my life, that was part of my commitment. That I want to be transparent. I want to share my story authentically with the younger generation so that then they can understand that they're not alone, that they're not weirdos, that they're not different, that other people have experienced these things and
Yes.
have been better and have come out more successfully. So that's what I would say. Build relationships, develop that trust, be transparent and authentic, and share your experiences.
Okay, thank you. If you're just joining us,
Absolutely.
it's 10:30. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Saturday Morning Runnings. It's Women's History Month this morning, and we are working with the theme which says investing in women, accelerate progress, and it's this year's theme for Women's History Month. We would like to just hop on over and say good morning to you, Charlesy. Ryan, good morning to you. Um, Cher is in the house. Morning, Cher. Good morning. Um, okay. Then we have Charles. He says, "Good morning, Saturday family," and so on. Um, Cher says, "Here we go." Sharon says, "Become friends with the young people first. Be open-minded and not critical. Do a book drive. Anything that leads us to the young folks."
Mhm.
And that is so true. But I think because of how we were raised in our culture, we were told, which we have said over and over, not to talk your business. So it's very difficult for a lot of people to say, when I was 12 or when I was 17, this happened to me or I did something, not realizing that when we make ourselves so vulnerable, it's a healing path for someone else.
Yeah, we help somebody else.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Maya Angelou famously said, each time a woman stands up for herself, she stands up for all women. And in dealing with the younger generation, the young ladies, then, because we are women and we our input or our contribution to their lives. We want to be good mentors. We want to meet them where they are, as Kay said. We also want to be transparent in our own experiences to them when we talk to them. We can't look, or we shouldn't look at trying to not indoctrinate, but to affect an entire group at one setting, starting with one young lady. Like Shakira said, you know, in our earlier years, there was nobody who showed any kind of vulnerability to say, well, I had done this, or this is where I was at some point, that she could look at. And many of us have the same, not just her, myself as well. If you look at the older women that seem to have it all together, the lipstick is in place, the handbag matches, everything is popping, but at the same time it's covering scars and so on. If we let them be, for if we be real, because they will recognize being real. I don't think we should be hung up on the fact that they may not reciprocate, when we try to reach out to them. We should meet them on their level, in a friendly way. And also, it's good if we are raising girls, that they can see a good relationship within that family dynamic.
Mhm.
Because if you're raising girls and they can see a difference, then they will want to aspire to that. It's not just talking about it, it's being
Yeah.
about it. You can't just talk about it and
Absolutely.
everything to back it up. So you want to affect them in a positive way. So one, you want to be for real. One, two, you want to meet them where they are. And three, you have to recognize that you can't take a huge group at a time. Because if you're kind to one, if you mentor one, that one can then mentor another
Mhm.
one, another one. And the word will
Yes.
spread. And
Spread
next
it
thing you
out.
know, you have a gathering, and then you might form a small nucleus, and from that you branch out into a community. And who knows, there's so many things, girls clubs and other things can come up out of these things where these young ladies can be taught. And time goes fast. You may take a young teen, and you invest in that person, and they grow up in over just in a short space of time, and then they can then pay it forward. And
Mm-hmm.
then it just keeps going, because we really have to do it ourselves. Margaret Thatcher also said, if you want something said, ask a man,
A
but if you
woman,
want it,
yes. But
ask
if you
a
want
woman.
something done, ask
Yeah,
a woman.
sometimes
Yeah.
we have to do it for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Can't just look around and play back in the day, the helpless dancer who say help me and all that. That's over with. We have to take the bull by the horns, and we have to go out and invest in young women.
Mm-hmm.
We
It's
have
funny
to-
that you mentioned what Margaret Thatcher says. It was just this week. A few of my classmates and myself were talking, and the conversation went in this direction. And I said to them, I said, some of the greatest atrocities and sad things that have happened to people in this world, it was, maybe I'm wrong, it was by men. But you give a woman a morsel and she'll take a community out of poverty. That
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
was, what I ended with. I said, just
Absolutely.
give a woman 2 grains of peas and she'll feed the community, because she's going to plant that and she's going to let it grow, and she's
yeah,
going to take other women out of poverty. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
I put my own mother
yeah,
in this position right now, because my mother is a big community person, and we learned that from her, and just watching my grandparents and her, how they lived their lives in the community. It was
Mm-hmm.
gave the best. We
mhm,
were taught that if somebody come to your house and them hungry and have 2 slices of bread, one slice is the back and the other part is the good part. You give them the good part, because
mhm.
might be the best experience that person's going to leave with. Miss G gave me the best piece of bread this morning. They might leave out there and say, oh, she couldn't give me the bread back.
Oh
You keep
yeah,
you keep the bread back for yourself, and
right.
a few couple of weeks ago, a young lady sent a picture to my mother, and she said, Miss G, you remember this skirt? No, this young lady, big woman, no. She said, you remember this? You were the one who made this skirt for me, and you were the one who taught me to sew.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And this was
Yes.
That's what
years
I'm
ago,
talking
and this
about.
young lady
Yep.
is all grown up. So when
Yes.
she's here, she just can't wait to get back to her community. So
Mm-hmm.
downstairs, you see all kind of something pack up, because this is for the children, for vacation Bible school. And we're not talking about in her church. All of the people I'm dead off in my mother's church now, they're all older people. They all died. They have, I must say, 2 children leaving the church, but she
Mm-hmm.
still has a community of children that she teaches when it comes on to holiday time. She does crochet, she does hand embroidery, she does baking, and they come and she teach those kids. Some of those kids are working in big jobs as chefs, as doctors. She teach them how to mend a wound, how to cover a wound, stuff like that. And they take that out into the world. So it's as little as doing something like that for one young person.
Thank you, Jackie.
As a
And
cover.
on the theme, that is the same theme of empowerment, because empowering women is crucial to creating a more just and equitable society. When women are empowered, they are more likely to take leadership roles and contribute to decision making processes that impact their lives and the lives of those around them. Women's empowerment also leads to improved health outcomes, increased economic growth, and poverty reduction. When we were growing up, well, I can talk. I just like to talk about penance. You know why? Because I describe it as a time when that evening, as they put me into a little VW car with my sister, I the car starts to drive, and we're asking where we're going. And I have written some long time ago. I said, as I realized the city lights started to become less and less. And then I see more darkness. I'm like, where are we going? They say penance. I'm like, where is that? I'm only 7. I am thinking they're carrying us into some boons of a place as a 7-year-old. It's pure darkness because after you hit a certain point, you're not seeing much light after that. But when I got to penance, that whole greeting of people I never met, my grandmother, who passed in 1990, became my everything because she introduced me to stage. She was the first person who put me on a stage. I had to recite something she was going to speak because she was an eloquent speaker, justice of the peace, everything. People come to Miss Ruby. So she had me with her the whole time. I'm helping her to row the boat. And it helped me. Now, when I see some of the things that we do and I'm a part of it, and some of the young women who have literally just embraced a few of us, and we can share our experiences and they can come without fear. All of these stepping stones help because you are saying to yourself, so after I've acquired all of whatever, at whatever level, who go and carry it on? What are they going to learn? Like you see Jackie talk about, that's a church that died. Why that happened, you think? And it wouldn't just be because maybe some people in the church were not, you know, passing on their gifts and so on. But we have to think of succession planning, both in our homes and in society. Because
Yep.
if nobody wants to share your knowledge, what is the point? It
It's
is it's
exactly.
for you one. It
Yes.
can't be for you one.
Exactly. And gifts and
Yeah.
talents are usually not for you. You may be the one it has been endowed on, but your gifts and talents are not for you. It's for it's for others. It's for you to share.
Yes.
Mhm.
To share. Absolutely.
Yeah, it takes a while for some persons to realize that there is joy in sharing. There's joy in serving. Don't look down on serving as if, oh, why am I doing such and such? Because there's the blessing that comes to you from serving and sharing. It cannot be bought. You know
No.
what I mean? So pass it on. Like Kay had said earlier too, some women may hold back on sharing knowledge because whatever, I guess persons may think you're going to surpass them or whatever. But if a young person surpasses where you are, that's the goal.
Of
They're
course.
surpassing,
Absolutely.
Mhm.
when
Yeah.
we look at society, because in as much as we have been poured into, I was poured into a lot as a young girl. That's why some things I do now, I do it just because to me it's like slipping on an old pair of shoes. It's comfortable. I can just do it without a thought, while somebody else is like, oh my god, how do you do that? I would be, oh, I can't do it. Like Lady D said about reciting. My grandfather was Baptist, my grandmother was Pentecostal. I was in both churches because whatever programs they were having, I had to participate. I had to do one thing down at the Pentecostal church, had to do another thing at the Baptist church, and I had to remember these things. So when you're reciting, you're talking about long verses you had to do. So now, if I have to stand in front of a crowd or whomever, I can do it without fainting. I can do it without breaking into a sweat,
Mhm.
because it has come naturally over the years. So,
Yes.
and then again, the society we are in now, uh, it is being called upon. We are being called upon to do other things. Young ladies now are doing jobs that were primarily for men.
Mhm.
In the field of engineering
Mm-hmm.
and and
Mhm.
other fields were primarily for men. So if we have to share in the hope or in the knowledge or with the foresight that the ones we are pouring into are going to carry it all on and will do more than we have done. We can only do our part and start from point A to B. And then somebody else, let us not be concerned with who is going to carry it on from point B. Look at a relay. Everybody run their leg
Yep.
and the last person has to really bring it home. So we have to look down the road and don't just be selfish and say, "Well, I'm not doing so and so." You pour into somebody. Look at the young lady that Jackie was saying came back to Mama G and was able to say, "You taught me how to make the skirt." Who knows what else she has passed on and how many young lady she has affected. So
Yes.
we have to and serve with the knowledge that we're not doing it for ourselves, and the gifts and talents that we have been given to by God is not for us, it's to share it for others.
That's right, Sharon. Thank you so much. Welcome. Let's
Absolutely.
hop on over very quickly. Let's do some quick check-ins here. So Keisha got her award the other day. I tell you. Welcome, Keisha. So nice to see you. And Cher says, become friends with the young people first. Be open-minded and not critical. And okay, so we had read that already.
Yeah.
Let me hop on down. Greetings, Evol. Morning. Who else? Morning, Patrick. How you do? How you do? How you do? Let's see. Nice to see Sister Shack, of course. And then here is Sharik Charlton. Hey, Sharik, how are you? Good morning. Mhm. She said, my mom is Shakira Charlton. Super proud, of course.
Oh, yeah.
And here
Nice.
is my cousin Kalila, all the way in England. Hey, Cal. So nice to see
Good
you. So,
afternoon.
yes, we all agree it's no time to move. Maybe some of the engines puff out some smoke. Like the other day, I was behind a vehicle. And, I mean, we had to kind of move over a little and give it space because
Uh-huh.
it would have choked me. Sometimes when we are in our vehicles of life, we have our 1 to 10 checklist. I must accomplish 1 to 10. And we don't look to the side and we not check over there so to see if anything coming. We're just going straight. And there might just be someone standing at the bus stop that you really couldn't look at and say, I wonder if we should offer a ride or, wonder if I
Right.
can offer some help.
Mm-hmm.
But because we're on our own trajectory, we're not looking to see
See.
who else is kind of hanging off
Right.
and need a little support.
Need a hand.
And
Yes.
some people tend to equate help with money. Half the time, people don't
Yes.
really want your money. They
Right.
just
Yes.
want a word of
Advice.
comfort or advice.
Yes.
Or
Or
just a little.
advice. Yes.
Yeah.
They just want somebody to
Yes.
listen.
Right.
Yeah,
And it's not
just
until you strike up a conversation that you realize how much they have inside
and
and want
you
to
Absolutely.
share and brace yourself for that God-given capacity to contain all of it when it comes. Because sometimes people just want an outlet
Oh,
yeah,
and
yeah.
Pour out. Yes.
you,
And
you can
pour
get
out
in
on you. Yes.
information overload
yeah,
and not navigate right.
right. And the life that you
Yes.
may change
Yeah.
just by that one
Yes.
conversation. I've encountered something like that recently, and I, like you said, I thought the person had it all together, and just by me saying one little thing, I
Mhm.
got a whole lifetime story.
There you
And
go.
I've had that
and
experience too.
but
Yeah.
but it, when I said why the person felt comfortable to just open up, and it was healing in the end. But that's the part I took for a victory, because it was healing for the person in the end, and I really I hugged her because I didn't
Mhm.
realize that she was experiencing. And let me tell you, us as women who are mothers, we have a great responsibility to our
Oh,
children, especially our female children, because whatever we do as mothers, that's what they're going to emulate. And
mhm.
Emulate.
never let
Absolutely.
your daughter or your child or the young child that looks upon you as a mother figure, never let them think that you hate them. Because there's a situation that's brewing right now that me and my family are working on, and it's a case where the child thinks that the mother hates her. And it's
Oh Lord.
dire. And as soon as I'm off this program, we'll be on that boat, trying to get that
Yes.
situation taken care of. But
Mhm.
never let the child think that way.
And that's
So that's a good point. Sorry to jump in there. So I'm a girl mom. I'm a proud girl mom, all girls. And what you said about being very conscious of the example that you are leaving behind is so important. So when I was younger, I don't think I fully recognized how much my daughters would emulate the things that I do. And so now understanding that fact, it helps to kind of chart some of the decisions that I would make. So I might want to do something a particular way, but because I know I have these young, Black, strong women, young women following behind me, it changes my perspective and my decisions. So in living my life, a part of it is, how do I show up in these spaces authentically, but what sort of example am I setting for them? So when I'm no longer here, what can they look back at and said, this is what my mom instilled. This is how she walked. This is how she lived. This is how she treated people, versus accomplishments. Oh, she went through this school and she has all these degrees. I think it was Maya Angelou that said that people will remember things like that. People will remember the way how they felt when they were around you, and so that is kind
Absolutely.
of a guarding and guiding principle for me. I'm always thinking about, how are people leaving my presence? What's the impact there, right? Are they leaving out of my presence empowered or feeling good because they spent a few moments around me? Or are they leaving from whatever that interaction is feeling, oh my gosh, she's so aloof, she's so bougie, she's not being real, she's selfish, she's very showy, she's very, you know what I mean? It really does change and chart the
Yeah.
choices and decisions that you make. For me, and I have, my daughters are all in like 3 different generations, right? So I have the older one who just got married, then we have the middle one who's just like keeps me very even keeled, and then we have our teenager who keeps us on our toes. For each generation, for each group, what am I leaving for them as tangible examples for them to follow, whether I want to or not?
yes.
That's the problem. It's not what whether I'm conscious of it or not. They're looking to that. They're looking to how I show up as a mother. They're looking to how I show up as a wife. They're looking to see how I show up as a leader in my office. How do I treat my employees? Like, all of these things really are significant. And I think the more women have this acknowledge that this is a thing, it really will help to chart a lot of the decisions that will make future state, especially for us women of color.
Yes. And something, as
All
you
right.
were saying that, one moment, Max, as you were saying that,
Okay.
I find that if we do not teach our girls what to expect, what our
Yes.
expectations are for
Mhm.
ourselves, because when you see some of the relationships
Yes.
that they have gotten themselves into, and
Mhm.
what is being poured into them in that relationship, that you have to break because it's taking them into a very destructive path,
Yes.
all those things, you have to let them know that first, they belong to God. Secondly, they are your children. Thirdly, you did not you don't have that expectation for them come abused, spoken down to, do anything that people tell them to do
Yeah.
without having the capacity to think and reason for themselves.
Yeah.
So if we do that, and it requires us being on our knees, I am saying to myself in recent times that yes, all the women of the 40s, 50s, some of them were having children at 14. If you look at the age of
Mm-hmm.
their children,
Yes, absolutely.
some of them
Mm-hmm.
were having
Very
children
much so.
early,
Mm-hmm.
very early. But what helped? Family, community. Not many of them were ostracized. So they had that nucleus working with. And so it helped them. And there's no way you have a girl, because we're talking about our females today, would want to see your child coming to tell you at 14 she barely started her menstrual cycle, don't have a clue of what goes on in the world, to tell you now, oh mama, mommy, mom, I am with child. None of that you want. So your
Mm-mm.
experiences, if that was the case, you should be able to sit your daughter down as she gets older and teach her the value of valuing herself, so that, because people don't like repeat generational challenges, it's just too much.
Mm-mm.
And for each generation, it worsens.
We shouldn't. I
That's
remember I
true.
met a family once. Let me just jump right in one. I met a family once, and believe me, the great grandmother, the mother, and the daughter, they were all 16 years apart.
Oh.
Wow.
Grandmother had the mother at 16. The mother came and had the granddaughter at 16.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying this is three generations. When are you gonna break it?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody dropped the
Wow.
ball somewhere.
Yes.
Somebody failed to start a conversation.
And
You-
that's where,
Yeah.
boy, that's one of the burning concerns I have. When you see, even when I was walking out on Boston Road, and I heard a boy talking, so clearly they're my boyfriend and girlfriend coming from school.
Mm,
And I heard the language he was using, and she cowered. And when, as me passed them, the only thing could have come out of my mouth was the blood of Jesus, loud as ever.
oh.
I was so enraged in the spirit, I couldn't hold myself.
Mm,
Because
Wow.
you're saying no, who give this 16-year-old boy this
mm-hmm,
kind of autonomy to
mm,
speak to a woman's girl picnic like this? And why
Wow.
would she not say, don't talk to me like that?
Are we commanding respect though?
They accept it, you
Well,
see.
but
They
but you
accept stuff
can't
like that.
command it if you don't learn it. That
yeah,
is
Right,
something it's something
right.
that you have to learn. It's
mm-hmm,
Yes,
I,
that's
it's a
Okay.
another,
you have to learn it.
I just want to
that's
jump in
another thing.
here.
That's another.
I just want to jump in here really quick. So, I don't know if most of you know, my daughter is 15 years old. And as I'm listening to everyone and we're talking about the younger generation, one of the things that I've always instilled in my daughter is that she deserves respect and love, and she is worth it, right? And I remember when she was little, and she used to go to the library, and because I was not well, she was one of the kids that didn't have a parent there at the library at a young age, and the librarians took great care of her. But one day I asked the librarian, I said, I'm concerned because there's so many, other kids here, and I don't want her to be bullied or anything. And Mr. Scott said to me, he looked at me and he said, Kay, please do not worry about your child.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I've seen
Mhm.
Caitlin. I've seen these boys, how they are, and trust and believe your daughter can handle her own. And so
Mm-hmm.
don't worry, and we wouldn't let anything happen to her. But as a mom, you're always worried about that, right? And one of the things that I think we're not doing enough is giving our girls that from a young age, that safe space to be comfortable enough to trust us, because when they're not talking to you is because they don't trust. And
Mhm.
if they don't trust you, they're not going to talk to you. They're not going to give you information. They're not going to do certain things. And I've
True.
always, since my daughter has been, could understand, reiterate to her, sweetheart, you can trust me. I have your back. I'm your person,
Right,
right?
right.
And we have to,
Absolutely.
whether it's girl or boy, we have to let our kids know that we're their person, because if we don't, they're going to find that person out there, and that person means them no good.
Exactly.
It means them no good. And and when we talk about um just passing the torch, and yes, I've had my successes and all of that good stuff, and I got sick, and I'm now pouring that into my daughter and other girls like her. And it's not just about my daughter, and I think that's the mentality we need to keep, that it's not just about my child. We have to
Exactly.
become the
It's about
village
society.
of
Yes.
Exactly.
yesteryears, right? We have to
Yes.
Yeah.
become that village and have that conversation, that my daughter's friends, she has a core group of friends, and they can say, their moms don't have to worry if I'm going to check and make sure their daughters are okay, because if they go to the mall, or if they're out, myself or my son is making sure all of them is okay. And so we have to become that village again. We have abandoned the village, and the village is not showing up for our girls, for our kids. And my
True.
daughter, I remember a few months ago, I always post about Caitlin's and our accomplishments, and someone inboxed me and said, you don't have to keep posting about her accomplishments, because it may make other parents feel like they're not doing what you're supposed to. And I said, no, it's supposed to do the opposite. It's
Right.
supposed to
Exactly.
motivate them. It's
Yeah.
supposed to motivate them,
Yeah.
because I have parents that inbox me or email, because everybody have my email address and almost and my phone number, it seems. But people have reached out to me and say, hey, okay, how did you do this? And I am so willing, and Lady D can attest for this. I am the first person that will give information. We cannot gatekeep information that's going to
Exactly.
push our girls and our culture and our community forward. We cannot gatekeep because we don't want to someone to be more successful. I don't care. Your success is my success,
Right.
right? And I think we
Absolutely.
have to get in that mentality again, because right now our girls are graduating colleges, they're starting businesses, they're doing it all, but that support from the community is not there. Where are they going to go when they have all these degrees and they're starting these businesses, but they're not getting the support from the community itself? How can they move forward? They can start a business, and that
Absolutely.
business is going to fold within 6 months or a year, because they're not getting the support from the community, because we're saying, oh, um, this another community will have the same product. I'm not buying from Black people because they're so this or they're so that. We're always finding faults with our own. I
Yeah.
am teaching my daughter to invest
True,
back
true,
in
true.
our community. We do events every year for the kids and now for the seniors. That's by design by God, right? And so we started with 20 children for our pancake and pajamas, to the point where we're having over 150. And it's something so simple, but I'll tell you, in doing that, we're reaching so many kids. And I now have a 15-year-old that now has the mentality of the village and paying it forward, and encouraging and teaching other girls, right? Other girls her age, to do the same, and to embrace their gifts and to share it and not gatekeep. And that's what we have to do. We have to become the village again. We cannot have these women, these young women, and these girls that are doing great things, but they don't have the support. And we have to become their support. And I think that's one of the main thing that's lacking. And also, just sharing, just sharing our experiences, not just the information, but also the experiences that we've had. And sorry about the rant. I
No,
get
No,
so
no.
passionate.
it's
Can I,
fine.
can I jump in on the village
Okay, so
on the village concept? The village
Absolutely.
just
Yes.
resonated with me. And it's so interesting to me that you shared how people hit you up about boasting about your daughter, when in fact the intent was to inspire and motivate others to say yes, you can do that, and that is a real thing. And I think if I was to say there was an area of
Yes.
vulnerability with us as women, that would be an area of vulnerability, right?
Yes.
If we
Yes.
adopt that village concept that you just spoke about, then you are rejoicing for your village in every which space. As I said, I have a girl mom, so I have my three daughters and our niece that we adopted, so four of them. And if you know me, you know I will do backflips for the things that my kids do or accomplish. But
Mm-hmm.
I have a ton of other kids through my church family and through work that are my daughters, my adopted daughters and sons, and I would do the same backflips for them for their accomplishments. I make sure that I'm present. So whether it is, a game that they have, or graduation, or whatever, having a baby or whatever it is, try to be present there, because that village concept, your village stands with you, your village makes you strong. And in the village, if you go back to even the word of God, how it is set up, it was charged to the older folks to pass down the traditions
Yes.
to the younger generation through word, right? Through written word, through spoken
yes,
word, sharing with them their experiences. That's how you empowered the
Yes.
generation behind.
Yes.
We tend to, I don't know, this our time frames, we don't seem to value that anymore. Like how imperative it is to share your experiences through this village concept in order to empower the generation that is to come. My daughter recently got married, and one of the pictures that she shared was she requested, her and her husband requested a picture with her both church families.
Oh yeah.
So his church family, his father was a pastor, and they were all on one side, and then our church family at Bronxwood was all on the other side. And whoever took the photograph just did it so beautifully. You saw
Yeah.
the throng
Yes.
of individuals, and she said, her
Yes.
post said this was my village, and it
Yeah.
Yes.
it resonated so strongly with me, because I'm like, that's the concept. So when
Yes.
Yeah.
she's down or when she's up, when she's excelling or when she's not, her village stands with her. And within that village, there's so many experiences that will be shared. There's so many people that
Yes.
will pull her and draw, lift her up and whatever. And what that does is it then prepares her. So when she gets to a particular point, she has to do the same for the younger ones to come. And that's how it that's how it continues. So I love what Kate said about just really village concept. I wish if we got the hang of that, it would really push our agendas so much further and help us as Black women, women of color, women of other ethnic races and stuff, that how powerful and strong we are, not just on our own,
Yes.
accomplishments, but
Yes.
also based on the backs of our village.
Yes.
Right. And
Thank
that would
you.
okay.
and and that definitely would build that empowerment that we're talking about. That's where it's going to come from. I'm going to touch on another little area where I think our Black women need a lot of work. It's a sense of entitlement, and some of us have children that we don't want we don't want the village to talk to, right? Even when they're rude and disrespectful. My sister works at a little place, and whenever somebody comes in there and she's being insulted or disrespected, it's always one of our Black young women. And it should never be that way, because especially how, from history and how our Black women were raised, it's it really has come down to something different in this generation. So maybe we're not passing down or passing on from the village what we really learned to these young ladies, because when they go out there, they disrespect our elders, or there's a sense of entitlement that they really need some work in that area. So we have a lot of work to do.
But
Yes,
though there
Sorry,
are
can I chime in there for a minute?
yes, sure. Go ahead, Max.
Okay, so what I wanted to chime in to say here is that a lot of what I've observed over the years, especially since we've been celebrating Women's History Month, is that a lot of the people who are celebrated are women in high places, big name folks who are in print, people who are in media, and the higher places, the president's wife and stuff like that, people like those. But there are women who are contributing greatly to society, who are not being mentioned, who are not known, who was because they have no name, they are not thought of, and no one knows what they're doing. So our job here, especially on this platform, is to highlight people like those. And I did document some names here last night when I put my notes together of some folks that I would love to just call their names on this show right now because they're doing big stuff. These are mostly women in media. And the first name I have here is Amanda Fraser. She's a AKA DJ Cutie Cutes. She lives in White Plains in New York. She's a female DJ. She has a show on Facebook. She does radio. And secondly, I would like to highlight Betty Love. We all know Betty Love in
Bet.
the Bronx.
Yes.
Yeah,
Bet.
she's contributing
Yeah.
greatly to the reggae music and to media in general and giving information and sharing information. I would also like to highlight Lady Trey. Lady Trey is a young lady. She lives in Canada. She does radio. She's managing artists, reggae artists, and contributing greatly to radio and promotion. And of course, I would also like to highlight Sharon Pearson. We know Sharon does radio too, and she has contributed greatly to families and friends and things in the Bronx. She has been a gem in the Bronx.
Share, go
Also,
share.
another young lady, Esther Selector. Esther Selector, she lives in Amsterdam, but she's doing greatly in the music business, in the radio business. She does interview every single day with an artist, Monday to Friday, 7 days per week. She does interview. And of course, last but not least, our highly beloved Lady Denise Gomez, who is doing this show right now. She's making wonderful contribution to her community, to media, to the society in general. So I just want to applaud you, ladies, applaud you for what your contribution, because you're giving, you're sharing your time, and in a lot of cases, you give and share your time for free. So we really love and appreciate, and I just wanted to applaud you for History Month. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. And thank you for the acknowledgement of all the ladies you mentioned.
You're
Absolutely.
most welcome.
Appreciate that. It is now 13 minutes after 11 o'clock. We wrap up at 11:30. But while you're on, and if it's your first time and you're wondering, what do I do so I can see the show next week? We love to tell you there's a word there which says subscribe. Please tap on it. If you are of Caribbean descent, and rather than just saying tap, we could say you can just juke the word. Okay, you get
That
that
is
one.
how we do it.
Oh gosh.
You can just juke and subscribe. When the bell comes up, you may say, what kind of bell this? Just juke the bell again. You'll see the word. It says all. And you just juke it. But if you'd rather not go that route, then you may just tap with your finger. One of the same. And please subscribe. We want to get to 1,000, and then we can start doing stuff. We promised ourselves that we would really do a work to get the subscribers up. So we're going to work on that. But Jack, Mom had chimed in here. She says, good morning, ladies. I heard my name. Yes, I continue to be one of those women who think that she could never do enough for others. And that
Oh,
healing is passed on to my children, who is passing it on to their children. To God be the glory.
amen. My mother,
Absolutely.
my mother
Amen.
will,
Amen
my
to
mother will
that.
empty the barrel that we pack and send go give her and empty it in the community. Yes. And then when we got on, she don't have anything. You have to rebuy. But
Oh,
that's her,
Yes.
and that's where we got our sense of giving from, and especially
Yes.
empowering young women. When we walk into our district right now, if any of us go home and we walk through that district, people look up to us. And
Yes.
it's not that we show off or we don't have anything. My mother don't have any fancy house out there or anything like that. But the respect and the love that she has in the community, especially for the young women, that's something
Mhm.
I need to applaud her for that and thank her for the way she raised us, because
Wonderful.
she raised us with the community mentality.
Investing in Women, Accelerate Progress is this year's theme for Women's History Month. And I think that we really are hitting some major points in how we are, or how we should be mentoring our young women. If you teach them what is right, you can't go wrong. Because if somebody approaches them with something that is outside of what they know to be right, they can say no. Yes, some of us are easily persuaded, because a lot of children you see out there sometimes, it's not because they're not taught right, but their willpower is weak. And when they're among their
Mhm.
peers,
oh yeah.
the peer pressure
Oh yeah.
situation is so hard to balance
Yes.
that they sometimes give up on what they know to be right, because
Right,
they
right,
don't want to they want to fit in, they want to don't want to be
Mm-hmm.
considered the odd one.
right,
Yeah. Too long.
right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
a quick thing, you're not gonna get through to them by boxing them down,
No, you're
Yeah.
not.
drag them
Mm-mm.
out of the bus
No,
and tear off them clothes in front of people. You're
no,
not gonna get through a young woman that way.
no.
Hmm.
If your box her down, she's gonna hit you back because you're in front of she's in front of people in
Yeah.
that bus,
Mm-hmm.
and you box her down right to the bus door. You're not gonna get through to her.
And
Hmm.
she's embarrassed and
All right,
Yes.
humiliated. And
That's where
what, yeah,
explanation will result, from that. And sometimes persons who will be prone to take those actions, they do because that's what they learned, unfortunately. Maybe
right.
Absolutely.
were treated, when they were, navigating their earlier younger life, and not all of us made the right decisions.
Hmm.
So
Yes.
it's something that has to be ingrained. And many of us have had the experience where someone saw something in us and decided
Yes,
to pull us aside and speak to us or ask who our parents were, or and send a note. I know for me, my teacher, I always talk about Mr. James. He saw something in me as a very young child. I may have been, I don't know, 9 or 10. And my mother was in Kingston. I was with my grandparents, and they weren't strong enough to walk all the way to that school. And he wrote a letter and said, take it to your grandmother and have her send it to your mother. But he saw something in me. I was carefree. I'm a little child. I don't know anything. But he saw something in me, and he made sure that he sent a letter to my mother, and he said, this girl has to be put in private lessons, whatever else he said. And my mother came down from Kingston, and they made make it work out. And I really owe a lot to him, because he's the first one who did any kind of investing or mentoring in my life.
Hmm.
I didn't even know the word mentor at the time. And he stayed the course, and he is still staying the course to this day. I don't go to Jamaica, and I don't go see him, have lunch with him, take him somewhere. I mean, he's retired now, but he's strong, he's sprightly, he can drive himself around. But I really do appreciate. So sometimes a young person based on our various experiences, we may recognize something in that person. And for God's sakes, just extend yourself. I'm not just talking to us on the platform, and whoever is within earshot.
Mhm.
Extend yourself and help that person, that young lady, or even that young boy to recognize a gift or a talent or something that is in them so that they can develop it. We don't know
Yes.
what it lead to.
And I tell you something, it was this past week at work. There's a young man, he's in college now from church, and he was very active in the AV department, but then he pulled back for several reasons. And he has been coming, but he's no longer connected in that core group. And he came by this week and I beckoned to him. I said, come over. And so I say, how are you? And he's saying, okay. I say, how are you really? And I said, remember you and I used to work very closely and so on, and what I've observed. And I said, you know, how is school? Because, you have to start there. And he's walking me through how school is doing. He said he fell down a little on his grades. I said, what are you doing to bring them back up? Do you have somebody helping you? And he says, yes, it's so much better. And I also mentioned another gentleman who was in that department but gave up that position. He says, yes, he's guiding him along because he wants to pursue cybersecurity.
Mm.
And so he's getting the help and all of that. And then, I was able to steer it around to the fact that, God loves him. And even though he may feel, which he says, that he's cool, he doesn't really need nobody. But I said, all of us need someone.
Oh, yeah.
And I said to him, I'm here. I might not be 17, but I'm here. I was 17 sometime back. And I can listen. I said, if you want to bounce off anything, talk to me. I'll listen. Because he comes there every day when he's working or going to school. That's he still sees as a space that he's safe. So rather than him being out doing anything, he comes, he does his school work. When church, he sits by himself. He's not really with them. And, he says he's in a different space now. And, he's more focused. But I encouraged him that even though you are focused, you're going to need someone.
Yeah.
None of us can go through life without
Yep.
having somebody to talk to.
Yep.
And so when I see him next, whenever I'm sure I'll see him tomorrow, because he comes, I'll just touch base. You start slowly.
Yeah.
But when you
Yes.
see them suddenly isolated, you need to know why. What
Yeah.
happened?
Yeah.
Yes.
What is
Sometimes
happening?
stuff are
Because,
going on.
hey,
True.
Mm-hmm.
and
And
even as adults in our own sphere of influence, we too can check ourselves because adults sometimes like to want to correct you. We weren't told how to be passionate and offer grace. Grace was not even a word.
Mm-hmm.
Grace never exists. All they
yeah,
know is if I catch you, I do this, or
yes,
don't
Yes.
do this, but they don't tell you why, what the
right,
repercussions will be.
right,
Right.
We now
Yes.
grow so there is this hardened part of us that to let it go is like a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And to receive the grace component to say, I am here. This is what I have done. Because if you don't teach somebody what expectations are, they're going to take anything. And if you can be the buffer, then be the buffer with
Mm-hmm.
with
Absolutely.
wisdom.
Mhm.
Because sometimes you hear people claiming that them are counsel people, and when you hear the line of counseling, you're like, hey, you have to kind of jump in quick.
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah.
Counseling not going nowhere.
And I
Yeah,
think
some
They're
people
just
we
for
one,
just
the
have to leave them to the
situation.
sewing and let somebody else do the counseling. Or
And I
you can do the baking, me will do the counseling, or vice versa. So
Same
and some
stuff.
people need to understand their
Uh-huh.
position, because you can't. Not everybody can speak into everybody's lives.
Yes,
and
please.
I think one of the things that one of the components of this generation is COVID and the isolation.
Mm-hmm.
I think, we all need social interaction to function, right?
That
We
did
need
affect
that.
my son.
We need that social interaction as adults and as kids. We need that. That's why, you have the kids going in school, but also this this generation of kids, because of that isolation, have, I think, they're missing that social components part of that, to where, that empathy, the compassion, all of that piece seem to be not missing, but maybe lacking a little bit. And I think that's one of the reasons why they're acting out so much, and with, even though they know the consequences of their actions, they're doing it regardless, because there's that I don't know, sometimes I'm like, COVID caused people to lose their minds, because that's what I seem to be seeing, especially with
Mhm.
the young people. And I think that social interaction piece can't be pushed aside. And even, we have to know our kids, know these young people around us. So, like Lady D said, she noticed that something was off with this young man, right? We have to be able to notice those things and be able to check in with them. And, my son is 34 years old, and I still check in with him. Like, hey, you know, you're okay,
Mm-hmm.
you're good, do you need to talk? Da, 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 da. And I think we have, this generation is like the kids are raising themselves at this point.
Mhm.
They're raising
True.
themselves. Their social media is raising them.
Oh,
Our
Hmm.
girls, what? They're on diets. Met this little girl, 13 years old, and she's like, "No, I can't eat that. I'm on a diet." A what?
Mm-hmm.
A diet? And she looks great. She looked
Mm-hmm.
great.
mm,
But social media has now taken over the role of parenting and teaching our children how to function, how to think, how to dress, how to act.
Hmm.
And we as adults have to get that back,
Mm-hmm.
right? And in
Mm-hmm.
getting that back, part of that is reconnecting and connecting with these young people. Again, it goes to the village and connecting with these young people. And I'm telling you, I see my daughter's friends out there doing anything crazy, and I'm pulling up on them. Excuse me, what are you doing? Who
right.
is this? And I have to be that village. And I tell my daughter, if you're out there, and she's been out there, she was at a Sweet 16 party, and someone came up and said, "Oh, Caitlin." And she's like, "Yes." And they're like, "Oh, I know your mom." And she was like, and she came home like, "Mom, you're everywhere." And I said, "Yes, I am."
That's my mother.
And
That's
my
my
thing was,
mother.
I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yes, I am."
That's a
And I
good
said,
thing.
"I
That's
have
a good
eyes."
thing.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I have
Mm-hmm.
eyes everywhere.
There you
But
And
go.
at
the
79 years old, it hasn't changed.
yeah, and the thing is that we have to connect with these teens, whether they're our own or not. And I
Mm-hmm.
think,
Hmm.
for just looking at us women that are here and the women in the chat, it is imperative that we take what was discussed here today and move forward and act on it, right? Because sometimes we do, and we have these discussions, and after this discussion is
Yeah, no,
over,
nah, it
it's
gone.
It
done.
dies right
And
there. Yes.
we have to act,
Mm-hmm.
and we have to continue the communication. We can link, we can do together, we can grow together. I'm always available. I know, there are quite a few of us on here this morning that are readily available to anyone, to do in the community. And we have to try our best. And I'm so glad I was able to be on here this morning to bring that village back. And it doesn't have to start big, it can start small, bringing that village back to our young people. And I think that will help to move this generation forward. Oh, it may be a little bit at a time, but I think it goes a long way.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely.
A minute
Well
to
Good
wrap.
said.
advice.
A minute to wrapping up, but I want to say good morning to Kat. It's been a while. Thank you for joining us. I hope you're doing all right, Masa. But it's good to see you. Jackie, your mom say amen, my big daughter. But it has really been enlightening, an enlightening conversation, heartfelt,
Absolutely.
because, we have to care. Hey, we can't just be going through life. So, and you know how many stripes they give us.
Yeah.
Yes, how many stripes we get. And
If I may quickly say
yeah.
something, there's something I noticed, and I noticed it on the playground the other day. My niece is, she's autistic, but she's low on the spectrum, and she's a little social butterfly. She likes to greet people, and it doesn't matter your age. She'll go up to you, she'll greet you, and she'll talk to you, and she's very smart. And I've taken her to the park a few times, and every time she goes to the park, she tries to approach other kids, and this is the look that she gets. They don't even exchange. And she'll always say, "Hi, my name is Shantae. What's yours?" They don't even answer her.
Because parents
And
are
then,
teaching their kids to isolate. It's that
yeah,
isolation piece.
and
They're
that's sad. She
isolating.
feels bad about that. She turns
Oh,
on. The other day there were two girls on the swing, and she was there with her cousin. My niece was there with her other cousin, and they were close in age, so they kind of look alike. Those two girls were twins, and she looks at the girls and she said, "Can I play with you?" And they looked at each other and they continued swinging. And she kept saying, "Can I play with you?" And I
oh,
told her, you can't approach people like that. They actually turned around and one of them said, "Are you twins?" And she said no. And she told them their age difference. But that was as far as the conversation went. And
Session
they
went.
jumped off the swing and they went. They
And
left.
isn't that sad though? Because
Yes.
very,
it's
Very,
very.
very sad.
very
When
sad.
when I was
Yeah.
Very
growing up,
sad.
or when we were growing up, that would have been the thing.
The opposite.
Yes,
Yes, I said that.
yes,
The
That's our
opposite,
social,
yes.
how we socialize.
But
yes.
Yeah.
adults,
Mm-mm.
Yes.
they
No
would not
man.
with them.
What did you
He
say,
broke.
Sharon?
Saying, was there an adult with them? Because you,
Yeah, the adults, they were sitting under a canopy that was close by because they had a little picnic going on and stuff like that.
oh, okay. Because
But it was,
COVID, a lot of, because of the isolation, children who were born during COVID, when
Yes,
so they were able to go out, they were approaching year and a half, 2 years, and they had no social skills whatsoever. They go to the playground and you could see them on the edge. And when I go like with my grandchildren and stuff, some parents would come and say, "Is it okay if they play together?" Because my little one, Bradley, he's
yes,
hi, I'm Bradley.
yes,
You jump, you want this, you want,
yeah.
some kids were very, they were very, very scared and hesitant. But
It's that isolation.
or the caregiver would say, "Go ahead, it's okay, go ahead." So that's why when you said the kids just jumped out the swing and went, I was wondering, where were the grown-ups that could say, "No, it's okay to play," because kids have to be taught these social skills, not because
yeah,
they're
they were right there.
together all the time.
Yeah.
They have
But
to love, yeah. I mean, that's not good at all.
no.
Wow.
Well,
Wow.
we're wrapping up. But ladies, I want to thank you, thank you, thank you. I think this was just
It could be so good.
Awesome.
good conversation.
And our guests were
Yeah.
amazing.
Thank you, Kate. Thank
Love
you,
it.
You're
Kiva.
welcome. You're welcome. It was great to meet
Appreciate you.
everyone.
Yes, indeed.
Yes,
And
yes.
Yes. Thanks for
don't
showing
be
up,
a
ladies. It was
stranger
good
now.
having you here.
Don't be a stranger now.
No.
Don't be a stranger. To our guests, we thank you. And please, before you leave, subscribe, like, and share to Inside the Zone. And each time that I am going live, you will see me. Subscribe, they say. subscribe, yeah, like, share, comment, as you have been doing, and share the link with someone and invite them. So by the time I get off here this morning, the numbers should spike. So I don't mean to bully now. So, so thank you, everyone. Ladies,
You're very welcome.
ladies,
Have a good
uh,
day.
Paulette says beautiful program. Thank you, Paulette.
Sometimes we
Thank
do a
you.
show and then after the show, it's like, this deserves a part two. This is one of those shows.
I tell you.
Yes.
So we can always, huddle again and see what we can do. But thank you. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and, be good. Slap little color in the cheek.
Okay.
Set your clocks forward. Spring ahead tomorrow.
Oh, yes. So we
All
go. Oh, so now we'll be 12:35
Oh,
by
yes.
tomorrow.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Hey.
Yes.
Mhm.
Oh, we're
Again.
moving
Oh,
forward.
boy.
Okay.
Losing
Okay,
was sleep.
here we go. But
All right, ladies.
love you, ladies. Blessings.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Lovely.
Bye.
Thank you all for
Out.
showing
Bye.
up. Have a
Bye
good day.
bye.
Bye.
Celebrate the strength, resilience, and grace of women for Women's History Month. Investing in women, accelerate progress is this year's theme for Women's History Month. From holding their families together to thriving in workplaces, women play pivotal roles in shaping our society. Join us in recognizing their multifaceted contributions as mothers, protectors, wives, and leaders in churches, schools, and the workplace. Embrace the myriad of roles they effortlessly navigate, embodying the true essence of empowerment. A Satideh morning runnings. Come, make we talk.